Yeah, what's good, everybody? About to get in this reaction. Let's
Lavender
get
hair?
to it.
Check. Purple
Ooh,
capsule
what
cork
Trunks?
jacket? Check. Honestly,
Well,
this guy
that's
from
my
top to bottom is
favorite
just the definition of cool
character
in the
on
Dragon Ball
Dragon Ball
universe.
Z.
Yeah, we're talking about the son of Vegeta and Bulma himself, Trunks
Oh
Freeze.
yeah.
Yep, while we know him simply as Trunks, that's actually his full name, and he's come a long way over the course of the series. And I guess we know the answer to the question, boxers or briefs. But before we get into the evolution of Trunks through the Dragon Ball anime, subscribe to CBR and hit that bell with a Kamehameha to join our notification squad so you never miss any of our Dragon Ball videos. Trunks Freeze was introduced to us in the episode 119 of Dragon Ball Z, The Mysterious Youth. But his story begins far later in the timeline. The son of Vegeta and Bulma, he's the last fighting survivor in an alternate future where the Z fighters are mercilessly killed by two evil androids created by Dr. Gero. Goku makes a comment that he had a chance to truly defeat Dr. Gero in the past, and it seemed like he was actually going to do it, until Goku was taken out by a heart virus. Dr. Gero is affiliated with the Red Ribbon Army that you might have recognized from Dragon Ball. Unfortunately, this leaves survivors Gohan and Trunks to deal with the destruction and terror caused by androids 17 and 18. With no one else to take the reins, Gohan leads the front against the evil creation and takes Trunks under his wing to train, although his sword training gets a little muddled. After Gohan loses an arm, the Saiyans continue their battle to defend their shattered world. However, time eventually runs out for Gohan, and he knocks out Trunks to keep him from attacking the androids with him. When Trunks wakes up, he finds Gohan's lifeless body. This, on top of all the rage that Trunks has kept inside, piled up and caused him to achieve a feat he didn't think he'd ever reach, Super Saiyan. After his transformation, he spends time engaging in skirmishes with the androids that ends with him running. Following the advice of his mother, she builds a time machine for him to go back in time to find Goku and hopefully plant a fighting chance against the Terror. When Trunks arrives in the past, the main heroes were fresh off a hiatus after Goku defeated Frieza on Namek and the Z Fighters' defeat of Garlic Jr. back on Earth. Expecting Goku to finally arrive back from space, the team is greeted by the mysterious Trunks, along with the massive spaceship holding King Cold and Frieza. Still seeing Frieza as a massive threat after what they dealt with on Namek, they're flabbergasted to see Trunks make such short work of the pair. Goku finally arrives on Earth to discover the incoming doom from Trunks in a private conversation where no one else can hear anything except for Piccolo's Namekian ears. He explains everything about the androids coming 3 years from their time to destroy everyone. He's trying to save his future while trying to dodge attacks from the androids he currently has no tactic against but to run. He also reveals his heritage to Goku and begs not to reveal that information so he can be born, giving Goku futuristic medicine to counteract his heart condition. He bids everyone farewell and returns back to his time. During the 3 years that pass in between that fateful day and the arrival of the androids, Vegeta and Bulma have one too many sips of eggnog, forget protection, and end up with a baby together named Trunks.
Oh, forget protection.
So cute. We don't see future Trunks return to the past again until a pair of androids attack, Goku goes down due to his heart virus, and Vegeta steps in to look like an absolute badass. After the defeat of those two androids, we learn from Trunks that those weren't the androids from his timeline, but two separate ones. The look on Trunks' face shows absolute terror, as he doesn't want the horrors he's faced in his timeline to continue to bleed over into the main timeline. When the real androids 17 and 18 arrive and cause more damage to everyone, a different style of Dr. Gero's creation appears in the early, imperfect form of the Big Bad Cell. Imperfect Cell goes around absorbing the androids, making him their new threat. Once in his perfect state, he challenges all of the Z Fighters to come to fight him in 10 days' time. Trunks gets some of the best training he ever gets in his life. He gets to train inside the hyperbolic time chamber, alongside his father, for the upcoming fight. He emerges long hair clad, buff, and ready to destroy the androids. He fights alongside his father and the rest of the team. Unfortunately, Trunks takes a massive hit during the battle by Cell and dies. The rest of the team survives the Cell games and gets to witness the defeat of Cell at the hands of Gohan. Trunks is later revived by the Dragon Balls back on Kami's lookout. Although he missed the big climax while presumably headed to Otherworld, he returns thankful that the nightmare of the androids and Cell has finished terrorizing this timeline. Now stronger than he ever imagined, Trunks returns to his future timeline to finish off the androids and stop Cell from ever causing havoc, giving shoutouts to his timeline's Gohan and the main timeline's Goku. Now, even though this is mainly his origin story, there's one element to this version of Trunks that has some mystery to it. Where does Trunks' super cool sword come from? In the movie Dragon Ball Z, Wrath of the Dragon, we're introduced to Tapion, a legendary warrior who carries the weapon known as the Brave Sword. Trunks and Tapion end up becoming good friends during the events of the movie. Before Tapion leaves, he takes the Brave Sword and gifts it to Trunks. It's heavily implied that this is the same sword we see Trunks with. We don't see this iteration of Trunks for a long time in Dragon Ball Z. After the jump between the Cell games and the next World Tournament saga, Trunks has grown into a young fighter that can already achieve Super Saiyan, a child version of his future counterpart's clothes. He now takes on the aesthetic of a martial artist with a green robe, orange belt, and the typical battle boots. He displays a lot of childish tendencies, such as snottiness, an unwillingness to listen to authority, and impulsive jokes. Nevertheless, his heart and fist still end up in the right places. His best friend is Goten. Even though they grew up together, it's instilled in Vegeta to make this Trunks a better fighter than any child of Goku's. And we promised Kid Trunks would definitely give it a shot. After the World Tournament saga and the arrival of the threat of Majin Buu, Trunks then witnesses his father sacrifice himself in an attempt to defeat Buu. Trunks is held in Vegeta's arms for the first time, and is then knocked out immediately for his own protection. Trunks and Goten are taken under the dead Goku and alive Piccolo's tutelage to learn the art of the fusion dance against Buu. As Majin Buu becomes Super Buu, Trunks and Goten work hard to master the fusion process. After a lot of time on Kami's lookout, and with many tries under their belts, they finally land on Gotenks, the perfect fusion between the two boys, taking on a more amplified version of Trunks' personality. Since both children had access to the Super Saiyan level at early ages, they were able to freely move about the levels of Super Saiyan without training. Gotenks became the best attempt at surviving the onslaught from Buu, citing two Super Saiyans combining their powers together. Gotenks was even powerful enough that, when they were trapped inside the hyperbolic time chamber, he could rip a hole in the space-time continuum to escape. But ultimately, even that wasn't enough, as they were absorbed by Buu in candy form until being rescued by Goku and Vegeta. Shortly after being freed from candy form, he, along with everyone else, is killed when Buu blows up the entire planet. He's later revived along with everyone else, though. Trunks goes into his full adult self by the last episode of Dragon Ball Z, as we see an entire decade pass before everyone's eyes. He eventually goes over into Dragon Ball GT, which was stripped of its canon title and given the Dragon Ball Super. Certain concepts and ascension levels may apply in this franchise, but they don't carry over. However, that doesn't mean that Trunks wasn't around in GT. In this series, we see him taking over the role that Bulma had in the original Dragon Ball series as the character with a lot of gadgets. Now president of Capsule Corp, he no longer sports his usual look. Instead, he embodies a summertime cowboy chic for his new adventure along with Goku and originally Goten. After Goku is training with Yuub on Kami's lookout, they're intruded upon by Garlic Jr. and company. They find separate Dragon Balls from the one we're used to throughout the series, Black Star Dragon Balls. A wish on these balls made to change Goku back into the form of a child sets the events in motion. These Dragon Balls scatter across the universe and will destroy the planet the wish was made on in 1 year's time if they aren't recollected. Goku then picks Trunks and Goten as his travel companions as they get ready to set off on a quest to retrieve the Black Star Dragon Balls. Too bad for Goten, however, as he's replaced with Pan, Goku's now preteen granddaughter, before he can even get off the phone. Trunks proved to be a valuable asset both as a group techie and as a source of Saiyan beatdown, in case someone was indisposed. This proved an unfortunate factor during the baby saga of GT, where Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, and Goten and Bulma are all possessed by another alien creation by Dr. Mayu, named Baby. Baby was set on revenge in the name of Tuffles, an alien race that fought on the losing end of a war against the Saiyans. Baby kept control over all of the Saiyans, but Trunks is the first release thanks to the use of the sacred water. Trunks becomes more of a background character in GT following the Baby saga, as he hasn't trained enough to keep up with the oncoming threats. He's one of the last characters to close off the side series, explaining to Pan that the Dragon Balls were disappearing and would return when the humans didn't need them anymore. On a side note, we're definitely disappointed that we never got to see a Dragon Ball GT version of the sweet Goten and Trunks fusion, Gotenks. That would have been mighty awesome. Yeah. Even though GT ended up not being canon, the story thankfully picked back up after years without any new chapters or episodes. We're returned to a post-Majin Buu saga Dragon Ball Z, featuring Kid Trunks and Goten. Super begins to retcon the events of GT, thus making this the new canon. During the battles against Beerus during the God of Destruction saga, Trunks and Goten tried to use their Gotenks form to take on the god, but no dice for them. Later on, we learn of a new power form in the franchise, the Super Saiyan God. To achieve this form, a Saiyan has to have enough support from Saiyans around at the time. Goku gets support from the surrounding Saiyans, including Kid Trunks. But it doesn't seem to work. Not thinking that they have enough, they soon discover that Gohan's wife, Videl, is revealed to be pregnant with some form of Pan, the granddaughter seen in DBZ and DBGT. Trunks isn't a big amount of help in the following Golden Frieza saga, nor the attack by a fake copy clone of Vegeta as well, mainly being a footrunner of the main heroes or spending time in a medical facility healing up. However, we see the return of a fan-favorite future Trunks during Dragon Ball Super. Here, we see him bringing news of a new enemy called Goku Black, an evil version of Goku from a future involving Trunks. During all of this, future Trunks get to interact with Kid Trunks. Trunks this whole time has been left out of the loop when it comes to certain information regarding events that took place when he was a newborn versus when he was old enough to engage in the fight alongside the rest of the Z fighters. Future Trunks eventually departs from that part of the timeline, hopefully planning to return one day. Hopefully. Following that, Trunks doesn't take up a main position during the Tournament of Power, not even with Goten as the fusion of Gotenks. He's instead given the job of guarding Android 17's island, so poachers don't mess with it. He and Goten defend the island from Cell Juniors, while everyone is fighting for the fate of the universe. Upon everyone else's arrival, 17 is pleased with Trunks' work. It's assumed from this point on that Trunks is able to go back to 17's island, since he was able to defend it without too much trouble. Trunks is a fan favorite, and we can't wait to see more of him in Dragon Ball Super. What's your favorite Trunks fight? Have you ever cosplayed as Trunks?
Y'all like this video, y'all go like it.
Don't forget to
Man,
subscribe
some
to
more
CBR
rag
for more Dragon Ball
videos.
videos
So
like this one. Thanks for
y'all
watching.
stay blessed. Have a great day. Church.